Good morning and good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pinnacle Cup. My name is X-Warrior, of course, and joined by my side is the wonderful Wild Deity. Bring you another set of action when it comes to the Swiss stage of the Pinnacle Cup. We've got a lot of matches ahead of us, and starting things off, we'll have Argo versus TeamOne.
Argo versus TeamOne. How are we feeling about this, X-Warrior? Because already, you know, it's got that underdog flair to it. The Brazilians, of course, being in Cologne right now, they do want to have a few more wins under their belt. But they haven't had too much practice against these teams, have they? I mean, they're not going to be too familiar with Argo, especially, you know, being able to be on the server with them. But that also, of course, gives them a little bit of research to go off of. But how about we dive right into the lineups before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Oh, absolutely. You guys may know these guys as already the all-Brazilian squad, apart from Malbs, who is, of course, from Guatemala. But these guys are absolutely insane, right? Of course, they've only just come to Europe for the ESL Cologne sort of tournament, and for that reason, they've got a chance to play in a lot of other European tournaments, and one of those being the Pinnacle Cup. And I think it's really good practice for all of these guys to sort of get that experience under their belts, and they've got a good chance of actually going far. So far, though, they haven't shown too much promise, as they are 0-2 in the Swiss stage, but definitely against Argo today, they could prove themselves at least some worth of sticking into this tournament for a little longer.
Yeah, absolutely, but we also have to dive into the lineup of Argo. They've had some problems lately, haven't they? I mean, Reitz is no longer part of the squad. Instead, now they have Lemon, who's been playing with them for a couple of days, so that's going to be a wrench in the works that might be unaccounted for. Everything else, it's all the same. You don't need to worry about that. Snatchy, of course, being the star AWP player, always being the crazy man on the server. He's been just the same. Still the highlight player, no doubt about it. But that's something that makes it especially spicy for me, Pavlos. It's the fact that Argo, or rather TeamOne, they're a team that's obviously been preparing for the LAN quite a bit. And at the same time, they get to catch Argo while they're down, when they've just switched up players. You know, they don't have Reitz any longer on that lineup.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that they really need to look out for, because they used the Reitz, especially sort of when they were playing around with a six-man roster sort of iteration that they were going across for, I don't know, a few weeks, I guess, maybe a month. They used Reitz in maps like Ancient, which Ancient is one of those maps that they found a lot of success in, so I'll be really interested to see if they actually go ahead and pick that out. But in general remarks, I think it's a good note for Argo. I think they need a refresher. It sort of feels like they've gone into a stale position, although they are by far, currently the best Polish team out there. I think they've got a lot more potential to reach greater heights, especially, as you said, the star performance from Snatchy, all of these players also setting him up for success. But also they've shown that they've got promise when it comes to the top of the tier, and I guess the veto is something I'm really looking forward to, especially considering their recent success onto that Ancient side. Like I said, they picked it a ton. They've succeeded in a great amount on that map, so I'm interested to see how exactly this will come across.
Yeah, I know that the veto graphic is a bit messed up, but I know the veto anyway, so we can get right into it. So Ancient has been picked up by Argo. That is the first map that we get to see today, Pavlos. Not something we see too often. It's often the decider. It's often something that that can be a bit of a sideline sort of ordeal, but that is the case, and now we get to see the correct graphic. Thank you, production. Very quick fix on that. But Ancient, of course, just as you mentioned, this is something that Argo are incredibly comfortable with. And the fact that they pick it after they have their little lineup switch up just shows, it's just a testament to how good the coaching must be on the side of Argo to be able to immediately slot into that new map, to be able to adjust with any sort of changes on the get-go and still feel confident, still feel like that is the map that you want to go for. Inferno, on the other hand, now that is the map that TeamOne have picked up. They haven't had the best of successes on it, and I do still think that Argo is a bit favored. But they've got some nice wins in the form of being able to beat teams like Extra Salt, which of course does work out in their favor. But it's all going to come down to Mirage if TeamOne can pick up that second map. Because honestly, Ancient, I don't know about that, Chief.
Yeah, it feels a little bit rough, and I feel like TeamOne are shooting themselves in the foot by having a fairly weakened map pool in contrast with other tier 2 teams out there, especially out of the bat where they have to ban out Vertigo on their own regard because they aren't really great at it. They don't really like it as a map and they don't practice it that much. It means that they have to ban it out from the get-go, and that sort of suits Argo's liking because they do play Vertigo if they have to. They like playing all their maps in their map pool as much as humanly possible, especially when Ancient come out. They're spamming that map to get it up interrupts where all the rest of their maps are, which is why I really like Argo and how they approach their whole map pool endeavors. The fact that Vertigo is banned out, they don't mind that whatsoever. They haven't really found too much recent success on it, so they'll be happy it's out. And straight out of the bat, they'll be able to have free roam over picking Ancient, their really strong map pick. And when it comes to Inferno, I don't think they'll mind that pick either. So Argo coming out in this map pool, it's a lot easier to tell that they are pretty much favored when it comes to this series. Not only when you look at the caliber of play that these guys have been able to bring out as a recent, but also due to the veto, as they have a really diverse map pool ahead.
I agree with that, but you know what? How about we talk about some of the win conditions for TeamOne? For me, personally, it's the fact that, number one, they can have a fair bit of research on Argo, okay? Because Argo, they haven't gotten to see TeamOne as much, and Argo have been playing quite a few games recently, so that's something that can work in their favor. On top of that, TeamOne are going to have a lot of strategy going into this because they were prepping for a LAN. And additionally, the third win condition I would put ahead is the fact that the little lineup switch for Argo, that can be a bit of a concerning affair.
Yeah, it definitely can, right? I mean, we did see that Reitz is no longer part of the roster, but it's not like they've practiced without him, right? If you do consider early on in the Swiss stage here, even in Pinnacle, I believe in other tournaments as well, they've sort of left him out when it came to various maps. For example, I believe Inferno was a map that they didn't really like placing him on, as Lemon was taking his place slowly as well. Vertigo was one of those maps, and for that reason, you sort of expect that would be the well, we sort of saw that, in retrospect, that Reach was sort of left back. But, you know, not quite sure how this will be sort of approached from Argo. Not quite sure if they've practiced enough for it. But it will really be interesting to see if they've actually been able to bring things back from that loss, I guess.
I'm actually a bit unsure of if Reitz has already been removed from the roster for this tournament. I do still need to get a bit of confirmation on that. So that's something that we might be a bit inaccurate about, so my apologies for that. But I do believe that Reitz is on the server right now, so that's something that we're just going to have to wait and find out. You know, maybe get some word on that. But regardless, that's okay, because for the most part, everything we said applies just the same. Even if Reitz is on that server, it still means that TeamOne, they have the ability to research on Argo, and they have the ability to use some of the tactics that they might have come up with, some of the fresh tactics that they would have on LAN. And I would be particularly interested in seeing whether or not they've got something prepped for specifically Ancient, because if they've allowed Argo to pick it, they've got to have some confidence going into this.
Oh, they absolutely do, because... You know, I expect TeamOne, they've came to Europe just to sort of show what they've got at hand, right? I imagine they've really prepared, they scrimmed their asses off when it came to a lot of these maps, and now are coming in dry. And as you said, I think the fact that they don't have too many VODs as of recently, I guess, against European teams, it's sort of where that could be the winning grace for TeamOne, because they're coming into this into these couple of tournaments in this recent time span where they've got things to show to the world. What I'm not quite convinced of is the fact that they did lose 2-0 against ENCE and 2-0 against Young Ninjas early on in the Swiss stage, which makes me also think that, hey, maybe they haven't brought out their cards yet. Maybe they haven't brought out some strategies that they'd be looking to hide for now, and looking to take that as as really just something that they didn't really want to show. They didn't want to show all their cards straight out of the bat. But now, facing elimination in the Swiss stage, they really need to pull their A game out if they want to remain in this tournament.
Well, heading right into it. Oh, look at the setup from TeamOne. They want to play very aggressively down mid because they have 3 players committed to this bomb site. Heading on over to A, the T's, they'll simply be sprawling in, and that's something that TeamOne, they're not ready for. How do the Glocks favor them? PRT and Maluk, they get a kill apiece. That's TeamOne already dismantling the opposition before they can get onto that bomb site. And it's on for the retake with a massive advantage.
Yeah, they do manage to get two cherries out of the basket already. Although Argo's quickly eager to get themselves back into the situation. Although it is a 3v4, definitely difficult when it comes to Argo. But holding things on is what they're looking for. Pasadello making quick work of one. Malik as well. Reitz is all by himself now. Delivers, but no finishing blow. And TeamOne, that is a successful retake by them. Managing to get some early frags in this endeavor. Although Argo got the bomb plant, it won't be long lasted as TeamOne are able to defuse it.
And it seemed like the offense was completely thwarted before they even got onto the bomb site. The first two frags with the USP and the P250, that completely changes everything. Especially on a map like Ancient, where retakes are a little bit easier than everything else because you have that many pathways that you can walk into a bomb site from. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out in your favor if you lose players early on. Very difficult to hold down each of the angles, and you can see that being reflected in the round loss. Argo, they still have money, however, because they did get the bomb down. That was the big difference maker, and that means they can buy up a couple of baby AKs, add the Big Daddy AK as well. It's just Reitz. They'll have the big guns. TeamOne. They're playing all of those close angles that favor the MP9s because Pasadillo and Malbs, they're making sure that they can hold these T's back as much as they can, courtesy of the smokes, just to be able to take advantage of the MP9s. The wallbang not really working out in their favor, and for TeamOne's favor, they need to run down the timer as much as they can, because otherwise, the guns that Argo have been able to scrape together, they'll be too powerful to take care of. Now, the Molotov will at least isolate one of the players. The MP9, it reigns supreme. Ferlin has been taken out of commission.
Now Fiku looking to move onto the situation. XNS quickly checking through that angle. It's not quite a easy pre-fire position, but the snap is really good from XNS. Delivers on a second follow-up as well. Pasadello, he's doing a good job with that MP9. The same could be said about the whole lineup TeamOne. I don't think Rallen will check this corner, although he approaches it slowly, will eventually get one kill in his troubles. But Pasadello is fairly low, so one bullet should do it for him. So extra damage will come through from Argo if given the opportunity. But apart from that, I think TeamOne have done what they wanted to do, right? They've held their line. They've been able to get some kills onto those MP9s, build up their economy. K47 picked up from XNS. He won't be bothered about that too much. Just barely on time. Will go for the plant. He should have gone for the stick. He would have been able to do it. But no time remaining. Even though he gets one kill, the round will go to the hands of TeamOne.
I love the awareness there from Rollin. The fact that he wants to run away with the Galil because he recognizes there's no time. And he does it to perfection as well. Uses the pillar as cover. So taking that Galil over to the next round, that was probably the best case scenario after what he carved himself in. He was expecting to die before the timer, but when he didn't, you know, you've got to stick to that rifle. But this puts him in sort of a tricky spot, doesn't it? Because Rollin, his buy-up in the next round, it's going to be far from adequate if he ends up losing this rifle. And it also places a lot of responsibility on him to potentially get something done with this. Now, because Rollin had something to work with, they've all gone for Desert Eagles as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a simple endeavor, but I'm sort of not really surprised because it's Argo after all. We did talk about the prospect of Ancient being a first pick for these guys, but when you consider other matches currently in Europe, Ancient isn't really necessarily a pick, is it? It's usually a map left over or not banned out, and it can become the decider. But that's simply not the case here. And I know Argo, this is their own map pick, but if they get challenged initially, if TeamOne were expecting this endeavor and practice this map substantially, they could still put a dent into the Argo side. And if they win this map in an upsetting fashion, then, you know, it could be their way on into the series. And the Pinnacle Cup odds did show that Argo was sort of favored when it comes to this series. But if TeamOne get a nice little start from the CT side, things could quickly unravel in their favor.
That's one of the things I really like about seeing teams that are preparing for LANs. Because where the HLTV stats might not favor them, where the win percentages and all that jazz, you know, you can have all of that, but truthfully speaking, you have to wait for the results to show up on the server, and I think Ago, they want to head right in. The Molotov and the nade, it'll be keeping them at bay. The flashbang is perfect, but Reitz does not care. He's able to pick up one. Exodus responds. Rollin desperately spraying through the smoke, but XNS keeps recovering, brings it back to the equilibrium standpoint, and it comes down to a 3v3. Look at Rollin's position.
Look where he snuck himself. Really cool angle. Flash out. But PRT knows of this, gets an easy shot out. And you mentioned Argo aggressing early on. No, they were just gaining ground. What TeamOne did instead, they were the teams to actually aggress. And it paid off. Now, there was potential with Argo's positioning, moving out of Cheetah, heading over to the backside of the B alleyways.
1 HP.
Barely survives on that trade, yeah, Fallen. Scott doesn't have much health to save for it as well, but it is a 2v2, and still, Fallen is able to use his rifle to shoot bullets. Still anyone's game, although TeamOne, they read the sign. They've stuck around. With the lineup being there for PRT, but Fiku's just too quick. 1v2 now, Maluke. What can you do? Bomb being planted behind the pillar. Looking for the shot. They are trying to exchange their shots, but no, the flash out, but it's the trade coming through from Fico, giving Argo the victory.
Because Furlan was so low, it was actually possible to pick up that round. However, they played it to perfection. They knew that as long as he's got utility alive, there's no reason for him to peek out for a duel or anything else. Even with just 1 point of health, he can make himself useful, act as a distraction, act as that second angle that needs to be checked. Now, I want to see how TeamOne play around this, because they've got an AWP in the hands of Maluk, but their buy is a bag of treats and a half. We've got a few deagles in there. And this boost, it might just be able to catch off Rollin, but instead it just gives up their position. The Molotov. That might have just snuck them into a spot. Will eventually be pre-fired. Ago, they're trying to be extra careful with this. Pastadello, that boost isn't really working out for them, is it? Because it's managed to get 2 players down below that 50-point mark. Now, most of the attention from Ago will be going towards that A. How do they play around Donut? Because there's 2 players. It can become a very tricky affair. The little bait and switch setup with the AWP and the MP9. Maluk, he has a chance to go big, and he's anticipating a player coming around the corner. He does. Snatchy comes out on top in the duel.
I love TeamOne's positioning there, having 2 players dedicated towards that Donut position, but it doesn't quite work out with the crossfire. Argo, they've managed to sneak their way into it slowly, methodically, checking every single angle, closing out on every single one of those kills, and it's all left XNS all by himself now, as a lot of these players have been isolated. There's nothing really much given to the TeamOne side apart from a kill onto Fallen. Other than that, Argo, they look on a really good highway to close things out here. And the Pinnacle odds do show that there is still a potential for Argo to turn things around.
I know that this is an underdog matchup, but this is potentially our chance to see the depth at which Ago know Ancient. The reason for that is that TeamOne can definitely come up with new things. Because they don't have anything to go off of from the past, Ago can definitely face some surprises as far as Ancient is concerned. It should be a pretty easy throwaway round, but that's what's interesting to me about this, Pavlos. We don't really get to see too much in these first 6 rounds, of course, because it just came down to 1 gun round from Ago. Other than that, everything was based off of the momentum that initially TeamOne was able to build up. But now that we start to delve our heads into those gun rounds, that's where we truly start to see the depth at which TeamOne have practiced it and the responses that Ago can come up with. Of course, all of these teams right now, they have a relatively surface-level understanding of this map. So the knee-jerk reactions that you have, things like being able to respond to utility, things like being able to track timings, that simply hasn't built up in the minds of players yet. Even if they have it on paper, it's not something that's going to be a no-brainer for them. So I want to see how Ago play this.
Okay, this is a chance to pull up ahead. Something they don't really do is aggress towards the B alleyway from the start. The ramp side hasn't been approached from, but the boost from TeamOne may be a surprising prospect. Spotted out though, have to back away from it. Trades coming through from Cheetah, but it's Rallen to take the most damage out of that endeavor. Another boost from the other side as Argo do approach the ramp side, but still challenging the right side of the map as well. Pasadello looking to push forwards as well. Get himself into the deep cave here. Reitz is just holding his ground at this point. Both together will try and push through, and Pasadello in a really close corner. He's got the reinforcements available for him. Throws down his smoke to potentially back away. No, sticks around. It's just for Malbs to check his angle towards the ramp side. It's a lot of trades. Well, a lot of trades and information, really. Some bullets being thrown out left and right, doing dents in the health-wise of both sides. But Argo, they're sticking around in this situation. The TeamOne haven't dedicated a man towards mid to gain that info. Snatchy sticks onto that shot, but doesn't quite find the damage he would have liked. And Pasadello, this is where he needs to shine the most as Reitz looks to peek on through, but the headshot does connect instantly for the man. Malbs does get shut down instantly as well. Exodus, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a clean take from Argo, methodically checking where every single player is, and now they get the bomb plant down.
Maluk and PRT, there's nothing they can do about this. They've got to back off with those AUGs. Live to see another day. And I know that Argo won't even allow this kind of comfort. They've already sent another player off to try to hunt them. Rollin, he gets caught looking sideways. Not really too much effort that can come out in that instance, but now the position of one of the players has been given up. Switching over to the AK-47, that might have just gotten Maluk killed because he didn't have the scope that would have granted an easier duel. And here comes the second one, PRT. He's going to show us exactly why that AUG is much more powerful in angles like this one. But Argo, they've already crept on forward. As far as the T side is concerned, they've got the gun rounds under lock and key. TeamOne, they don't even get a chance to do much off of this. Look at their money, Palos. They've got about $3,000 in the bag, and they've got an AUG on PRT. Do they buy up armor? Their loss bonus is pretty good, so I would assume so. But at the same time, then you're giving up the opportunity of getting your hands on an AWP.
Yeah, I mean, TeamOne, at this point, what they want to do is damage control, really, right? Place that AUG in the right position. You mentioned it. So, I don't know, man. They do want to go for that early mid control, something they haven't done too many times. But I believe they only did it once, and it paid off in retrospect. And they do use simultaneously a double push towards Cheetah as well, so that could do a lot of damage. Nade as well. They back out from it though. But do they know that a player snack himself already onto the ramp side? Reit's able to deal with PRT, no problem whatsoever. Doubles it up onto kill onto X and S. Maluka on the back line looking to do some extra damage, but Pasadello has already put a dent into the lineup of Argo. 2 kills to his name with that P250 and finds an AK-47 to save onto the next round as well. So that is something that TeamOne like. That's not too bad of a trade when it comes to it. But Argo, they will get the round nonetheless.
Yeah, with only P250s, if you can claw an eyeball out and get away with an AK-47, that is more than ideal. But for the most part, it has been a stomp from Argo. These gun rounds, they haven't gone the way of TeamOne at all. And now I'm starting to wonder, were the first 3 rounds a fluke? Because after that pistol, they've only been able to thwart Argo when they haven't had any money. And because Argo have these convincing rounds, and just the nature of the T-side economy not having too much of an investment, you can see that their banks are starting to build up. You've got 11K on 2 players, approaching 12. Snatchy and Fiku also around that 10K mark, and it's not even like they have to go for significant rebuys. They had barely any commitment into this round, so it's not like they're going to be drawing out their bank accounts at any point in time. So now the CT side has to deal with not only the T sides having a lot of momentum, but also them having so much money to fall back on. Maluk and PRT, now they're going for a double op setup, and this is something I like to see. Now that they've got their hands on money, they can dedicate an AWP player on each side of the map. Does it work out? I think we'll find out as soon as Argo start approaching B with a little bit more aggression. Look at how the CT side is playing this. This could be a 2-sided sword, a double-edged sword, because if they get mollied out, they have nowhere to run off to. Now telegraphing their
SNS.
positions. Look at those nades!
Marbs, poor man, he's barely standing, and one more nade that could have finished him off, but it didn't. Oh, Argo. They've telegraphed this play, and they're able to capitalize on it as well. Molly, well, that's not going to really help Malbs, but XNS is trapped. He's only going to be able to stick into his position, and so will Malbs. There goes the finishing blow onto both of them. Simple swing spray down coming out from Reeds. And to think that we thought he was out of the squad. No, think again. Apparently, for now at least, he's here to stay. Pasadello. Ooh, hello, peekaboo, Fiku. He's a cheeky man, and he's able to hide away, get himself an extra kill. The only players remaining on the TeamOne side are the players that have got that big gun of green by their side. Argo, they're looking really strong here, throwing out that final piece of utility with a smoke. Malik, though, surprisingly enough, doesn't show his card until Rallen completely looks to go for something greedy, but no, shut down as he's able to keep onto his weapon. So will PRT. I doubt Argo will go after them after those losses, but it's still their round, and it still will go their way, getting themselves to that 6 mark, which is basically double the amount of TeamOne's round so far.
The one saving grace for TeamOne is the fact that they get away with both of those AWPs. This still gives them a fighting chance in the next round, and because Pasadello can probably buy up entirely for himself and the $3,400 loss bonus, it's not going to be a terrible buy, all things considered, but it does mean they have to keep these AWPs alive. And at least that's not too much of a concern, because Argo chose the exit route that was the farthest from the CTs, but Argo are starting to run away with this. Their terrorist side, it looks near indomitable. You can see the guns starting to show up on the side of the CTs.
For us, I'm just seeing the orange on top, and it's just this streak of orange, orange, right? A lot of rounds in a row being gained by Argo. You've said it. They're looking really strong on the T side.
And I think they're looking to cement their lead even further. The setup from TeamOne, it's not ideally set up for the A-bomb side, and that's where most of the attention from Argo will be going. There is an AWP, yes, and it's even boosted up, so that gives them a bit of verticality to work off of, but this could be entirely overpowering, because as soon as the utility starts flying in, oh no, look at this reposition.
Uh-oh.
I think this favors Argo very heavily.
Unless they line up, then he might just get 1 kill in the process, but the smokes and the flashes coming out from Argo are on point, exactly where they needed to be. Although Pasadello looks to push on through it, Fiku is able to punish him. PRT, though, puts his mark onto Fallen, which keeps things to an equal-sided affair. Reeds now backs off. Bullet coming right through his head, but he's still alive to tail the tail. Snatchy puts that AWP to the test, but other than that, TeamOne are losing a lot of their players. XNS is feeling desperate, pushes through, he doesn't quite succeed in finding a kill. Malbs has a different idea, pushes through again, and he finds 1 kill. 2v3 still, looking to punish from the backline, but Snatchy's got the right idea, falls back from it, repositions, second shot is a time, third one as well. Snatchy holds his line, and there's nothing TeamOne can do about it.
TeamOne had a sliver of hope there in that instance where Snatchy misses shots. That's where they could have capitalized, but it was all over then. I really like how Ancient gives you the false sense of security, that you can play it passively and you can get away with it. But this is actually one of those maps where aggressing choke points can be incredibly beneficial. Similar to how aggressing Banana can make the duels that much easier as opposed to playing with passivity. If you aggress on the A side, if you take control of Donut, if you take control of the main halls, it becomes way easier to win out duels, and that's not something that TeamOne did. They didn't have the AWP pushed up. They didn't have any extra attention. Instead, the decision to fall off of the box and the decision to back off, it just puts them in a passive spot where there's absolutely nothing you can do if the smoke start lining in. At that point, you can only hope to hit something around the smoke. You can hope to maybe catch them off guard if they don't check angles, but then you're allowing Argo to have the ball in their court. So I would like to see a little bit more aggression from TeamOne. I like the idea that they had initially where they had a 3-man commitment, but that was on the pistol round. They don't feel comfortable anymore to do those kinds of things, and I guess I understand it because, of course, they haven't had too many gun rounds to play with time and time again. Argo, they've been putting the foot down, not allowing TeamOne to buy up, making sure that they have to play from a disadvantage, but don't think these Deagles get to work out too well. Okay, Pesadelo can put a couple under his belt. That's nice. And with this recovered AWP, maybe he even gets away with another. So where I discounted them, perhaps there's a chance, but it would still have to be off of the 2 versus 3. Nice little flick, but that's not going to catch Fiku. It's all style points.
It is all style points. But at the end of the day, I count style points quite highly, although that is probably why I'm fairly low ranked when it comes to Counter-Strike. Yeah, no, style points definitely should have get you there. But Argo, they seem to have the right idea. XNS will want to punish. Deagle shot not quite connecting, and the Ritz's swing, that is going to be their blow to the head. Quite literally in the round as well, because Argo, they're starting to run away with this, aren't they?
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, they're ahead at halftime. This is their own map pick. Okay, so obviously if it is their own map pick, they do get a bit comfortable with it, but not to this degree, because TeamOne, the only thing they've been able to muster up are the first 3 rounds they won off of the pistol. That's simply not enough. TeamOne, maybe they show a little bit of aggression here, because now they want to aggress on B, and that's an opportunity that's been quashed. XNS completely flashed out, dabbing. His head shoved into his elbow means that he cannot fire back.
Well, yeah, that is the case. I do not recommend dabbing when shooting guns in Counter-Strike.
Is that one of the things they teach you in the military? Or does it go without saying?
It's one of those things that I guess they'll teach once it happens. You know, if someone dabs,
I know.
You know, like when there's like a pool and when you go to a hotel. I saw this meme one day, right? And someone saw a sign and they took a photo of it, and it says, "Do not enter this pool when you have active diarrhea." Those signs only exist when an incident has happened, and I believe that is one of the lessons you'll take from the army. Only if something like that has happened before, you know. Do not dab when you're shooting your weapon. But no, yeah, no, Argo. Well, I think they've learned from their mistakes. Dabbing will only commence when a flashbang is at hand. Therefore, Maluke and PRT won't be able to capitalize on those mistakes. But I'm interested to see while there is that something you like doing when you're playing Counter-Strike? Whenever you get a kill, is that your go-to move? Is that the way you feel comfortable?
I mean, I don't really have a choice, because I'm usually always on the receiving end of flashbang. So, but come on, Pavlos, tell me. I know you're in the military, okay?
Yeah. Not sure where this is going.
Did you set that precedent?
Well, no, thankfully not.
Thankfully not.
Thankfully not. Yeah, or else I think I'd be in big trouble if I did that. Mm-hmm. No, not gonna happen anytime soon. And I'm afraid also, talking about not happening anytime soon, I feel like TeamOne won't be able to get themselves around, because right now they've only got pistols to work with. Yeah,
and this AWP, I don't think it's particularly suited to find any duels. Okay, with a flashbang, Furlan might just walk into the crosshairs of this AWP, but because they've got 2 players, unless it's a lineup, it won't really be working out in their favor. Maluk gets a second chance at a pot shot, but this is not really going to his favor. Not anticipating the player to be on top of the ledge. And it should mostly be a cleanup, with the exception of PRT, of course, making that pocket AK-47 work. It can always be very surprising if somebody just pulls out a CZ and they went out. You're like, hey, that's not supposed to happen. You didn't put as much money into the AK. Why are you winning this?
Ooh. Well, at least it's only 1 kill that went their way, right? It's not as if they won the entire round off of a pistol. And I really like positioning of the positioning of Fallen as well from the mid side as well to catch the rotations off guard. It seemed like PRT knew of that prospect, but still, the weapon disadvantage that they have at hand currently, it's just not really facilitating any victory, is it?
Mm-hmm. But if you want to facilitate your payments and you want to make them flow quickly from account to account, make sure you go ahead and check out our partners over at Trustly. There's no cards, no app download, and no registration. And if you go ahead and check out pinnacle.com/odds, you can even make a payment with Trustly, where you can find the latest in-play offerings for Argo versus TeamOne. Remember, esports betting should be fun, so only play or only bet what you can afford, and full terms and conditions apply. So do go ahead and check them out. Argo or rather TeamOne, this is one of their final opportunities to really make a dent in this half, because if they end up losing this, if they lose all of their weapons, they have nothing in the next round. Their loss bonus, even being maxed out, simply isn't enough for the CT side. How does Malbs hold down the line all to his lonesome? He does not. That is the answer, and that's an answer that Reitz will happily be writing down. XNS, his pants are around his ankles, and Furlan's grip is around his neck because he's been taken away from the server. Pasadello. Okay, they're actually making it doable, Pavlos.
They actually are. That's fairly surprising. The smoke dissipates, but Snatchy throws one in time and barely survives. The timing was so desperate there, but he's able to make it work. Argo, they seem to hold their lineups right, but TeamOne need to use their final pieces of utility to a clean prospect. 1-for-1 trade. Snatchy, he's not going to let go of that line anytime soon, and Maluke needs to do a wondrous piece of work to bring things to a close. 1v2, two very different angles. 180-degree turn, basically, flash to keep them at bay, but it's a stimple? Is that a word? It's a simple spray down from Ryland to close things out for them.
This is all downhill for TeamOne as soon as the game has started. For the most part, we aren't really seeing much of a response from them. And honestly, I anticipated a little bit more. I would expect their CT side to have a bit more fortitude going into this, because they are, of course, prepping for that LAN. Or at least they were. TeamOne. It would be very unlikely for them to come up huge with MP9s when they haven't really been able to do much. The first 3 rounds are the only 3 points of the tally that we see on the scoreboard, and other than that, Ago, it's been an entirely clean sweep from them. And it's not even just like they've been getting rounds. No. They have been very convincing rounds. I don't think it's really ever come down to a 1v1 or something of that sort, where you could start to hypothesize that maybe if TeamOne, they had a couple of those 1vx's go their way, perhaps it would be a closer scoreline, yada, yada, yada. You know, it can happen in Counter-Strike, where you can constantly bring things down to a 1v1, but it doesn't end up working in your favor. But that's not the case at all. Ago, their victories in these rounds have been convincing enough that simple individual performances, perhaps they wouldn't be able to save TeamOne. And that should be the end of the half. 12-3. Ago, they come out on top in a very convincing fashion.
They absolutely do. Half-time. And you may want to check out our, pinnacle.com/odds, where you can find all the latest odds, as you can see currently on your screen. 1.117 to 6 point something. I didn't quite see that in time. But when it comes to this map, maybe try a different one, because I really doubt TeamOne will win. I think Pinnacle thinks the same thing, so maybe find more favorable odds when it comes to it. But Pinnacle is definitely the place to be when it comes to this type of betting. And they also have a nice little offer going on, which if you bet 10 euros on esports, you get 10 euros in return. But of course, you need to be a customer and sign up using the code CUP21. Argo, they've converted the first kill into a round win 11 out of 11 times. Now that is consistency, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like they want to bring things forward as well. 3v4s, TeamOne do have the advantage when it comes to the numbers, and they will staple themselves ahead. Snatchy is the final player remaining, and he's the man you want in a clutch position. 1v3, can he do it? Peeking through, PRT down low, headshot connected, and it's down to a 1v2. Snatchy, is this doable, do you think, for us?
Absolutely. He's carving himself out a nice 1v2, and he's taking a different avenue. That gives him a better shot. Almost finds Pasadilla. All he needs to find is XNS. He gets the headshot, and that's the 1v4. 4 kills for Snatchy. What a way to clutch it. I thought they didn't have much to go off of in the pistol rounds, but they recover it.
Snatchy, you're a beast. And you would have thought TeamOne would have had a chance to sort of bring things back. No. Absolutely denied. Snatchy will not give you that delicacy. Wow. Okay. Algo are coming into this game with a statement. They're not going to be eliminated from Pinnacle Cup. Not at this time. Obviously, this is the first map, but it definitely sets the precedent for the series.
What a messy duel all across the board. Snatchy, I can't believe he gets away with the clutch after missing that many shots. But he does it regardless. Ago. I'm not sure how they lost Fiku there in that instance early on in the round, and that could be TeamOne's opportunity to start at least give themselves a bit of a ramp to work with. XNS looks around in time, and that's actually the A side being opened up.
Okay, so set aside Snatchy's clutch earlier. TeamOne, even from the first round, seem a lot more comfortable when it comes to the T side. The fact that they're able to control the momentum, control the pace, and basically dictate how the round will unfold, where they want to attack and what they want to approach, is definitely really... They're definitely liking that prospect. And now, they even have a chance to get themselves the comeback round after initial pistol round loss. I really like this from TeamOne, actually. And it gives them a lot of space, considering that Argo lose a couple of players. And with them not losing a single one, that definitely sets them up for at least another couple rounds. It depends how Argo approach the next one, right? If they go for the Force, considering they've got 3 weapons, I wouldn't be surprised. But if they get the next one as well, there's definitely gap closing possibilities.
If you're going to go for a comeback, TeamOne, I think they're happy to be on that terrorist side. They can build up their bank in a similar fashion as Argo. And one thing I do have to mention is that although Argo's victory was victory on half number 1 was very convincing, it did come off of constantly being able to batter the economy of TeamOne. They couldn't actually ever build up too much money, and that's something that ended up working out in their favor. Now, I want to see if TeamOne win the duels here on mid. They take a lot of damage. XNS and mobs have been taken down to the potential where they just get grazed by a bullet and they get taken off the server. But Argo, they have the numbers disadvantage. The AWP is still alive for Snatchy, and he's going to make it come alive in that instance. Mobs, no longer part of active duty.
Mid being game from T1. Argo, I remember when they were on the mid side, and they didn't really approach this. They always liked going for the flanks on the B side or A. Never really a team to gain that access unless it was by one player pushing himself up against it to deny rotations. But TeamOne, they switch things up. They don't approach the tunnel side though, so they won't be challenging that. Snatchy, he's got the lineup right, but doesn't connect the first shot. That could have been crucial. Because now, TeamOne still have the numbers advantage. Does he peek out again? Flash out. Oh, they nearly line up. One shot connected, and that's going to be the blow onto him as well. Down to 20 points of health. Does he peek again? Flash thrown out. Although, Pasadello does move away from it, so that it won't be inflicted any more damage onto him. 30 seconds. The time is dwindling away, and TeamOne need to start approaching onto the site. Snatchy, he's changed up his position, but the smoke won't allow him to get any shots across. Reet as well can't do anything about it as the fog is just too thick. Molly thrown out to deter the bomb plant, but it has come down, but it might be too late. Pasadello all by himself. What can you do in that 1v3, sir? Smoke out, and now who has a choice to make? Does he push out of it? Or does he turn around? Argo, they're going to start touching the bomb. He's trying to go for the pre-fire. They know exactly where he is. Pre-fires once more. Oh, it was close, but not close enough. Snatchy delivers through the wall, and Argo get themselves right back on the board.
Pavlos, I'd like to mention there that I love how teams like Argo, they've recognized that the safest way a T can go for a bomb plant is behind the pillar, because everything else can be easily defended from either first or second or from highway. So preemptively, Argo had that Molotov ready, and Reitz, instead of peeking out, he only had the lineup from the first of backside. He was just waiting for the smoke to bloom. He was just waiting for the bomb to start going down, and all he has to do is hold mouse 1, get that freebie. And it ends up working out in their favor. Gets them a couple free frags, and that should be good enough. Argo now, they're on the brink of closing out a round, but TeamOne, look at that. Rollin is creeped around the smoke. Pasadello, he is quick to react and thwart any shenanigans that might come his way. Now, Fiku and Mobs, they might have a bit of a standoff, but most of the action from the T is on mid. The bomb left all the way back because indecision is clouding their minds, but Reitz will be getting shut down in the process.
TeamOne, they challenged that early mid prio, and it paid off. And I think it could have been a lot more deadly, Argo's push at mid so far with those two players. But I think TeamOne were preparing for such a prospect. The early pop flash as well with the smoke. Rylan, of course, he got spotted out from window, so that didn't really help out in that push, but Fiku's put himself into that tiny cubby here, and he'll be looking for the shot. Spray down onto one, connects. The other one not so fruitful. Fallen now down to 1v1 standoff as the bomb goes down. How does he approach this? Nade thrown. That is so much damage. Only one bullet required onto Exodus's body to close the deed. Spray down. It's through the wall. Goes for the follow-up, and he's successful in finding it. Gets the AWP, and it'll go straight onto the defuse to give Argo the map points.
Pavlos, this might already be over because look at TeamOne's economy. Even with all of that loss bonus, they don't have that much. They don't get a chance at an AK on Malbs. They don't have an AK on Maluk either. Nothing on PRT. This is looking bleak, my friend. That is a very convincing way to close out your own map pick. Argo, they've looked entirely dominant. Even when they didn't have the advantage, even when they messed up the second round after winning the pistol, they came right back into it. With a scrape together buy, they make sure that the scoreline stays under 5. TeamOne now desperate to get anything done. They're going to sprawl straight onto the A bomb site. A quick lineup. Fiku, he's making it look spicy, and now he has the chance at an ace. It's a complete modown as if it's an eco. Switches to the USB, but Reitz is there in time to steal it. 16-4, Argo. They get away with a very convincing map 1. But don't go anywhere because TeamOne, they might have a chance at coming back into this. Map number 2, it is their own map pick, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. You are watching Argo versus TeamOne. This is Pinnacle Cup II, and, well, the first map was not really the best of affairs for Argo. Or rather, for TeamOne. Because for Argo, it went entirely swimmingly.
Yeah, but for now, TeamOne will start aggressing forwards. They went for the mid approach first, but now they double backed onto the banana side, looking to push forwards. Fiku holding it back from sight, does fall back to the safety where he's got Fallen to help him out as well, but they trickle on forwards nonetheless. Flashes out. Maluka takes a lot of damage, but hasn't fallen just yet. Miles putting a shot onto the dent of Argo. They managed to find so many kills. That is insane. And now they do find 2 kills in return, but at the process, it is the site being taken over by the T side. TeamOne, they got the bomb planted.
I love how TeamOne, they come out guns blazing when they're on Inferno. That's the map they feel comfortable with, and they want to take it. They won the pistol round previously as well. They want to do it again. Rollin and Snatchy now, they've got the responsibility of that 2v3. Make that Snatchy just being left to his lonesome, and he's got a piece of Kevlar as well. Bunny hopping away! Look at that rabbit! He's only got 2 players to find now, but the kit does not work. You know what? I'm going to give him a round for style points.
Oh man, Snatchy. You know on Ancient where he clutched things up 1v4 on a pistol round? Well, think again. That might have been really cool. Ooh, what is this graphic? First time I'm seeing this. Series comparison. Argo TeamOne. Yeah, no, all the stats are definitely in favor of Argo, apart from deaths. Interesting. What, is the last one headshots? Where it's 0 to everyone? No one's gotten a headshot? Might be wrong. Might be something else. I've been able to figure it out. But yeah, nonetheless, it is really interesting to see that we've got a new graphic at hand. It's juicy, spicing things up. And now we're heading into round number 2 where TeamOne have the advantage, at least in firepower.
Yeah, and they also have a positional advantage because they've already gotten onto Banana. They've left the bomb all the way back so that they can at least get some information before they commit to anything. TeamOne, they've firmly cemented the idea that Banana is their domain. Now the CTs will feel a bit worried about aggressing forward in that instance. But other than that, TeamOne, they want to aggress brackets. The rotations have come in from Ago, and this might be the right call to make because that's where TeamOne is going. They haven't yet recovered the bomb, but they should in the nick of time.
Now TeamOne repositioning towards the banana side without getting a kill in the process. Snatchy. It's got a deagle going on for him. I wonder what he can bring out here. What sort of madness he can pull off. It's going to have to be a big ordeal because he's all by himself. He's got a strong position to be in, but he needs to find the finishing blows. Finds one, repositions, but PRT is there for the pre-fire. That's going to be simple pickings coming in from the TeamOne side. Only dropping a player throughout the process as the bomb does go down. And Argo, they're considering if they want to go for this, but I think they want to back away because a retake on the B side of Inferno is quite a difficult endeavor.
Yeah, and then you add the deagles to that, add the no money to that. Yeah, having a second shot in the next round, probably the better case scenario. TeamOne, they're starting things off strong on Inferno, and I like that. They looked entirely defeated when it came to Ancient, but this is a map that is tried and tested. You know that the Brazilians can come up with something huge when it comes to Inferno.
They're going to have to, man. They're going to have to. 16-4 definitely wasn't it wasn't really a good scoreline for them onto the Asian side, and Argo showed their prowess. And I believe TeamOne's victories only came out either on pistol rounds or the second round of the second half. So it was like the first 3 rounds went their way, and then they managed to bounce back on a force buy. But you can clearly see from the Pinnacle odds that Argo is the favorite in this endeavor, slightly moving in favor of TeamOne as they've gotten themselves a 2-0 start. But they're going to need a lot more to sort of show that they can win the whole series because Argo is looking strong. And although this may be a filler where TeamOne can get themselves to a 3-0 point, I'm really looking forward to the next round. But how do you feel about this as a whole for us? What is their chance? What is their winning possibility? What is their winning sort of case for TeamOne to sort of bring things back here?
I think from the get-go, we realized that Ancient wasn't going to be something that goes their way. And it ended up happening, it ended up playing out just the same on the server. 16-4, Ago had to take that one. But if TeamOne want to bring it back, Inferno is their domain. They've been practicing it for LAN, they've got a few officials under their belts, and who knows how much scrimmaging there has been off the server. Now, Ago, their setup isn't ideal for this kind of take, so I do think this is going to mostly be a throwaway round unless they can majorly botch things. Snatchy. Okay, he's playing it very proactively, but the run and gun doesn't really work to his favor. The Deagles, mostly dropping shots across the board, but the point I was getting to, Pavlos, is that I think Inferno will be a very different affair. For the viewers who aren't very acclimated to the game, if you looked at map 1, you would think, okay, yeah, TeamOne is an entire no-show, you know, there's no comparison between the two teams, but that's not the case. Of course, it's a new map, and the results can be very iffy at times. Ancient isn't going to be something that teams are consistent at least for maybe the next 6 months. Maybe I'm stretching it a bit much, but it does take a while for metas to develop in CS and for some of the less innovative teams. Not to take any credit away from TeamOne, I just mean to say that if you're not a top team, it's often very unlikely that you're going to be setting the meta. But the idea behind it is that Inferno should be very different. This is something tried and tested, and they're already showing us this.
Although standard 3-0 start will get them up ahead from the get-go, and you guys can get yourselves ahead when it comes to the betting game by heading over to Pinnacle because they've got a grand offer at hand. If you bet €10 in esports, you get €10 in return. But of course, you need to be a new customer and you need to sign up with the code CUP21. But also remember that betting should be done in a fun and safe environment. So make sure you only bet what you can afford. Heading into the game though, nothing going to happen because no one is challenging mid.
Oh, he had an opportunity there. I think if the run boost was a little bit faster, maybe if the spawns favored him, it would have worked out. But Fiku has been caught with a smoke in his hands. That's a headshot through him. Just one defender on the B bomb site, and rotations will be soon coming in. But TeamOne, they're not jumping the gun at all. They've thrown out a smoke towards Coffins, but they're not challenging it early on. Still, a 3-1-1 setup as far as the B side, as the T side opposition is concerned. And Ferlin, he's quick to capitalize, finds an opening in the smoke, knows that he needs to get the numbers back. So the CT side, they may have gotten the numbers back, but a fair bit of damage has gone their way as well.
Yeah, so Argo desperately would need to put themselves back on the board here, at least for this map, because they haven't really found too much. Snatchy with a finishing blow onto one, may look for a second one, draws out the pistol, but it's completely flashed out and needs to back away, find the safety of another wall here, because TeamOne, they've taken over the sites. And they've blocked them out with the use of a smoke as well on both ends. Now Argo, they've got a choice to make here. Do they go for it? Do they stand by and wait for the next round to sort of unfold in their favor? Because they're low on health. They're dependent on a pick here, and without it, this push becomes really difficult. Snatchy, yeah, they have. Can they pull it ahead now? Can they isolate these 2 kills? One on site, one left behind, and he's going for the backstab onto Snatchy. Is he going to be quick enough on the push? Do they check this corner? Mavs has been spotted. Maluke has been able to find one kill, and Mavs stays alive. Ooh. Jumps up, Mavs, you're insane! And he throws down bullets onto his opponent's dead body for a BM play as well. 4-0 for the Brazilian side.
TeamOne, now they're looking like entirely different beasts, and that's something I mentioned. Ancient, that's already done and dusted. That is no longer something that they need to worry about. They have to look on ahead. They have to focus on what's ahead of them, take up Inferno, and then worry about that that final map on the best of 3. Argo, their Inferno isn't looking too solid just yet. Sure, they've only gotten a chance at 1 gun round so far, but we'll have to wait and see if Signs of Life will be coming back. And TeamOne, this is an ideal case circumstance for them, because if you're on the T side, you need to get as many rounds as you can. Not even on the advantage just yet. They still managed to chain together 4 to the nil of Argo. Snatchy, can he turn things around? The AK will overrule, reign supreme. Fiku may have gotten a pot shot in, but the duel seemed to be going the way of PRT. 2 kills for him. The Eagle, now it's becoming deadly. Fiku, how have you gotten 3? Lightning fast, and he's gotten an AWP to work with as well. Malbs, suddenly he finds himself all alone on the server. How has Fiku done this?
Man, if we can see the perspective of Fiku in that 3 deagle shot one after the other, I'd love to see it. I know, like, nobody would have expected that play. No one, right? You only had Fiku challenging that corner. You only had a deagle. He was faced up against 3 players with full-on rifles. And the reinforcement from Lemon was a little bit far away, right? Especially seeing that his both teammates fell onto the other side of mid. So no one would have expected that. And I'm not surprised we weren't looking at his POV when that double endeavor was coming across. But if there's any slight chance that we can see that again, I'd love to get a piece of that pie. I'd love to get a piece of that pie called Fiku. Because it's looking juicy right now. And although TeamOne, they've been able to scramble themselves onto the B site, the bomb has been planted. It's still a 1v2 endeavor. And Fiku, although he wasn't quite able to get an ace in the last round of Ancient with that 4K, he might have the chance now.
Yeah, but he still needs to check construction mobs. He can easily isolate 2 1v1s, and Fiku has a deagle in his hands. He tries to spam away, but this time the magic will not come to life. It's mobs who might just be able to reclaim the round, but no, Lemon, he defends it and he will deny it. Finally, bringing Fiku's kills to fruition, getting the first round for Argo. And what was that, man?
I have no clue, man. But Lemon now jumping in on the server, replacing Reitz in that prospect. Will show us why he is here. Get some team back in it. But I think the highlight throughout that round was Fiku's 3-piece in mid. That was insane.
You think? Huh?
I think I'm definite. Like, that is likely the play of the day, play of the stage, man. That is insane. How do you even let that happen? Because all 3 of those shots were headshots as well. One tap headshots, I believe, as well. It was quick, rapid-fire shots that all of them connected onto heads.
Well, let's see if Argo can convert this into more rounds. Ferlin, nice nade to suffocate mobs in the logs area. And more bullets will come through from the smoke as well. The lineups are perfect for Argo. Now that they've gotten their hands on guns, will they be able to take the lead back from TeamOne in a similar fashion as they did on Ancient? Keep in mind that the start for TeamOne on Ancient, that was really good as well, but they weren't able to convert. Argo. They're showing us why they're the higher ranked team, and Ferlin, he's killed 3 players in this round that he hasn't even seen. He's the ghost, a ninja. Just a shadow whispering into them.
You've been watching way too much Harry Potter, Wilder. Way too much. Do I need to do a Harry Potter marathon at some point? I haven't seen those movies in forever. The XNS, look at this. He's looking to find a kill. Ooh, Rowland. He's there, but I'm lagging out. Farah's take it away.
PRT. There's not much to take away from this, is there, Pavlos? Because with just an AWP in his hands, not much he can do. All he's got to do is try to hold on to this rifle. Oh no, this peak, that is brutal. 4-2. And Ago, they might have just come out ahead.
That play must have been really good because it was so good that my internet couldn't handle it. I was lagging out in that process. Don't know if you guys could hear me lagging out or...
No, it wasn't very apparent. Maybe yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But
wow.
Not to me. So we're gonna forgive you for that. But Snatchy won't be forgiving Mobs for going down for a dry peak on mid.
Ouch. You know, Algo, they've done a stellar job to bring things back now because not only have they been able to get 2 rounds in a row, they've been able to dismantle their opponent's economy. It's down to the ground. There's literally zilch in their bank account. Snatchy, he makes it work. You know, that is what you love to see when you're seeing Snatchy play, is him finding these multi-kills with that AWP, and he's been able to do that so far. I'd love to see it against buy rounds as well, not against pistols, but still, that's a massive gap closer. It's now 3-4. And there's still a chance for them to bring things back. P90 from Pasadello? Haven't seen that gun in a while.
Are you serious, Pavlos? We all know the rank that you've been playing in. Come on. That's the only gun you've been seeing for the past 3 weeks.
I haven't seen it in pro play in a while. I haven't seen it in my own games. It's one of my go-tos, actually. Apologies.
Yeah, let's clear that up.
Yeah, it's good that we do that. Look at the approach towards the mid side, though. All of them stacked up against the smoke grenade. Ooh, I could have done so much more. Just goes slightly more wide, and it only does approximately 90 points of damage. Rallen has to fall back, but completely flashed up. Can't do anything. Reach the barrel. Lemon not quite able to find the closers either. Just bullets spraying through his opponent's bodies aren't quite enough to find those finishing blows. So TeamOne, although they've been at a 3-round deficit, at least in the past 3 rounds, basically, they're looking to bounce back and not allow Argo to capitalize on that endeavor, not allow them to catch up. They're looking to ease up ahead with a 5th. And I really like their change of pace in mid.
Yeah, it ended up working out for them. Snatchy and Furla, now they're the only members remaining. TeamOne, a very significant, or rather, very convincing round to get onto the A bomb site. And this is the kind of aggression TeamOne need. But this is not a rate that can sustainably be carried on throughout the first half, because Ago, they got 3 for the price of 1. And TeamOne, they haven't gotten a chance at all to build up any bank. The CT side, on the other hand, they'll be happy to have some dollar bills hanging out of their pockets as they go for another rebuy, but they are getting close to that broke mark. So maybe not flex on that money just yet. They do have a buy, though. An AWP for Snatchy, everybody else on rifles. I want to see how this derby will go. A 3-2 setup ensues from the CT side, so no early aggression on Banana as far as using triple mollies is concerned, and Fiku, perhaps he gets caught out here? No, a defensive Molotov will keep TeamOne at bay, and although most of TeamOne's attention is on the B bomb site, that's not where Ago have their players positioned, and look at this, TeamOne, they might want to just move right in. A flashbang primed and ready. Furlan, he wants to use it to aggress. He's around the corner, right. He's getting ready for it, but he gets pre-fired, doesn't even get a chance to take away PRT, and now they know that the B site is theirs for the taking.
Even though it wasn't PRT to put in the first bullet, it's the one to delay him, so he wasn't quite able to capitalize on that flash in time, and it faded out until he peeked the corner. It slowed him down quite substantially, and now TeamOne look like they want to change the tide of this series completely. PRT chiming bullets through the smoke, and they're successful in finding his opponents. We're seeing a completely different TeamOne right now. In Argo, they don't have much to say for it, because they're having difficulty in finding early advantages. And TeamOne, they're looking demanding here.
I'm not sure if I expected Ago to be shut down in that fashion, but TeamOne, they found a little bit of fortune there in that duel on B. The pre-fire, catching away the player, not allowing Furlan to move on ahead at full speed and capitalize on the flashbang, that completely demolished any chance that Ago had in that instance. And that also telegraphs the information for TeamOne that perhaps they don't have enough of a defense, because if they had 3 players on the B bomb side, there would be no reason to send a player and aggress further. They know that now the B side is wide open. They only have to take out 1 player, and that should be all she wrote. Ago, the only player on their side is Snatchy with an AWP. Desert Eagles across the board otherwise, but he's got a bit of a furious mode going for him. Has a bit of an angle. Maybe it's a lineup, but not quite, because he jumps up as he's pulling off the trigger.
Ouch.
No.
That is not nice if you're fallen. Guess not nice isn't quite the way to describe it, right? It's painful. Smoke out. Maybe to give Snatchy an alternative angle. Ooh, the drop might have been heard. Maybe it's a little bit too far, actually. So he could find an avenue to exit. But instead, no, it's Snatchy. He'll go for an aggressive play, won't he? It's Snatchy. He won't back away from a fight. But considering that he's the only man with a rifle currently in this team, he's got a big role to play. A massive role, actually. And it looks like slowly TeamOne are closing the gap on him. They're waiting to throw all that useful utility. Smokes out Molly. It's going directly where Snatchy's hiding out and needs to reposition. He's able to grab out 1 kill, hides behind the fountain, gets 2 kills, maybe the 3rd as well, and he's been able to reposition for a 2nd time as well. Oh, Snatchy, you are insane. Finds damage onto Maluke as well. He's a 1-man army, and he's bought so much time, and his team might even have a chance of the retake.
Maluki has to go huge. He wants to use this AWP, but he's been caught out by the Deagle. PRT, 1v3. He's got a chance here. Gets the first headshot, but now he has to challenge the AWP of Lemon. Comes around, but he's not going to win out that duel.
Snatchy, what the hell was that?
Snatchy has saved them. Single-handedly.
Not only did he save him, he danced through fire and flashes and smokes to scramble 3 kills and damage onto a 4th. All by himself, by the way, and he was the only member with a rifle in his team.
I mean, if they had to choose a bomb site, it was 50-50, and I guess they didn't pick the right side of the coin, because this coin that has Snatchy firmly embossed onto it, it doesn't really favor you, does it?
It doesn't, man. I'm sorry, but Snatchy counts as 5 players. You've got 4 onto the A site. Well, you got Snatchy onto B, and that's good enough to hold down a game for you. Well, you thought TeamOne was going to start running away with this game. Think again. Because Snatchy, he's just woken up, and he's not going to let anything slide past him.
Snatchy. He might even be able to find a kill here in Boiler, because TeamOne want to get very aggressive. A defensive Molotov will keep them at bay for a bit. But it's still very early on in the round, and the CTs, they've kept most of their utility. Furlan, because now they have a double op setup, of course he can start to work his magic there on the B bomb side. Oh no, this won't work for Snatchy's favor, because as the smoke fades, it's going to be the advantage for Pasadello. He's crept on forward. Does Snatchy anticipate this? The barrel's been spotted. That's a freebie for sure. Snatchy, you've been caught off guard, buddy.
Yeah, peekaboo, goodbye. Pasadello brings things to an equal standpoint. 4 players across both sides. Oh dear though, PRT doesn't quite check the corner. Damage inflicted onto Rallen, but isn't quite good enough as a headshot was connected onto him as well. XNS now needs to ease out with a smoke, giving him some space, but Rallen, he's holding the right angle here. XNS sliding through, but isn't quite eager to get the push on completely onwards, because Rallen and Lemon are there to stay. Easy pickings for them, and Argo, they're looking a lot stronger than they did a few rounds ago.
I like how Snatchy gets taken away early on in the round, and his team still has a relatively flawless round. Snatchy was the only player that got picked up there, so perfect duels from Ago all across the board. And where we think that Snatchy is the only highlight player here, think again, because Fiku, he's gotten 3 insane frags. Furlan's been doing some great work on the B-bomb site, so all across the board, we're starting to see a lights-out performance. TeamOne, they had a bit of momentum going on their way after the first 3 rounds, but hold on, scratch that thought, because a lot of pressure is about to come in from second mid.
This is potentially the equalizer, isn't it, Wild?
Mm-hmm. It most likely is.
Even I, who am Nova, know this, right? Oh, it's...
Big gun better than small gun, yes.
Yeah, that's sort of how it works in nature as well, right? Big eat small.
Yes, in nature, where guns are commonly found, yes.
You get the idea. Now, we'll trickle in forwards. They will be greeted, but nothing but bullets. And Rallen and Lemon are able to close their lives, put them out of their misery, because I think this round is already over before it even began. PRT looking to be a menace with his FaZe Clan stickers, as if he's a child looking up to the old great gods, but no. This is a Counter-Strike era. This is not a Call of Duty era, and it looks like, well, Argo is looking to be one of the best Polish teams in the current Counter-Strike scene that looks to reach greater heights.
I just had a visual of having some kind of Nat Geo documentary of just guns in the wild, and here you see the fire serpent in its natural habitat. Bomb site B, banana.
Hey, you see, Lemon, he's holding a good old gun with that M4. No, let's just stop it. Let's get into the game. It's a 1-4-1 trade initially. I mean, this is a buy round, so it's a really important one. We can't really miss out on these kills. Pasadello getting another kill on that prospect. 3 against 3, but TeamOne are heavily damaged. And how do they sort of come back from this for us? Because I know that Argo, they've left the B site. They've left it completely barren. And TeamOne looks like they're on a good road to reach that site.
Let me tell you exactly what's wrong with this round. Even if they're not on the A site, do you see that thing tucked away into the back of Furlan's pocket? Yes, that is an HE grenade. That can entirely shut down Mobs and Pasadello both in one fell swoop. But let's see if that ends up coming to fruition. Now, Fiku, with the help of Furlan, he wants to move up banana. Is that something that TeamOne check? Because they've crept all the way. They've held shift down. But they don't have a single AWP on these low players. These duels are going to be very tough.
They are, and already we're seeing the prospect of that by Fiku easily pushing through by the swinging mobs. And there's so much utility on the Argo side still remaining, so they're able to use it. Pot flash won't really be affecting the TeamOne side as they are left behind that smoke. They're going for a boost. Now this could change the prospect here. Sprayed down. Doesn't quite connect the shots, but they know exactly where he is, and the defuse will consume and will allow Argo to get the finishing blow onto it as well. Oh, poor man. The nade getting the kill, but it's Argo now in the lead for the first time this map.
Keep in mind that TeamOne have had to go through fewer gun rounds. Argo, if they can cement themselves ahead, if they can get to that 9-round mark, this would be a lackluster performance being shown by TeamOne. But they do get the benefit of the advantageous side in the next half. The problem is, they don't get away with 7 or 8. The pistol round suddenly is given a lot more importance. And you know that Argo, it's going to be very tough to scrape that one away from them. Brackets control seems to be the name of the game for TeamOne as the smokes line up. Checker smoke thrown out. Flashbang as well. Snatchy has to move into passivity. Rollin, he could potentially find all the lineup. Snatchy doesn't care if his eyelids are shut, and Rollin will be in hot pursuit right behind him. The M4 is overruling entirely Mobs and PRT. Now, left in a 2v5. This is tough, Pavlos.
It's very tough. There's nothing much going to the way of TeamOne apart from the kill from PRT now, looking to square things up, but Lemon peeks out from the shadows and says hello. That's a scary endeavor. It's as if they're in a horror film, but Argo, and they're reassuring them where they're waking them up, but they're not waking them up in the way that TeamOne would have liked. It's not a hush, good morning, love. It's a, well, wakey wakeys. This is your final day. 8-6, and TeamOne losing out on the first map, now being a deficit on the second map as well, on their own map pick. It looks like this could be their final best of 3 of the Pinnacle Cup, because this is the map where they could get eliminated from this entire tournament.
Things are not starting off strong for the TeamOne side, because Pasadello, he's already taken a bit of a scratch. Maluk as well, XNS to follow. Argo, it seems like they've already got this map under lock and key. Whether or not they can turn it, we're about to find out. This should be a hard and fast push on the B bomb side. Fiku, he's got a defensive Molotov. That'll keep them at bay. Ferlin swings out, and it's easy peasy pickings. The B side, oh, never mind actually, because XNS, he manages to catch a player off in dark. The spray down doesn't fully connect. It's Maluk and XNS quite low on HP, and there's once again the potential of an aid. Uh-oh, GG.
Uh-oh. Ouch, Maluk. I'm sorry, man. That's not a way to go down when you think you've got a chance in a clutch situation. Argo. They dedicated 2 players towards that B site, and it was both Fallen and Fiku. The double Fs of Argo, which meaning FF. Is that a sign? Are they calling out on FF onto TeamOne? Is that what they're trying to show to the world currently? Because it definitely seems like they've managed to turn this tide of this game around.
I mean, even from the get-go, we knew that Inferno would obviously be, at best, a back-and-forth map for TeamOne. It's not like they can come out guns blazing against a team like Argo. Definitely an underdog matchup, and it's even hard to do something like that for Inferno. It's not like they have the surprise factor that can come with something like Ancient, or maybe even Vertigo, because it's not as old as something like Inferno at all.
Ooh, I like this.
But overall, you can see that in the series predictions tracker that, for the most part, it's just been Argo that's been favored.
Definitely has. The pistol rounds have been the most chaotic ones, haven't they, for us? It's been quite topsy-turvy at best. And I think it's where TeamOne have found most of their success, to be honest, right? Although, Rallen being alive and seeing that Pasadello and Maluk are fairly low, XNS is also like a headshot away when it comes to the Glock. So still a doable endeavor. Especially if he isolates them like that. Finding 1 kill to the B site. Shutting down Pasadello. Knows where he is. Although that could be said vice versa, because now they're all going on a rotation around him. I like the approach coming through from Maluk. He's hiding out. Ooh, jump over it. He's shifting across, so I don't think Maluk even knew that Rallen has pushed past him.
I don't think Roland knows this either.
It doesn't even matter, because he peeks away just in time, but he's been spotted. The rotations are coming in.
They know exactly where to find him. XNS, he can get an easy pickup because the information has been communicated just in the nick of time, Luke. He gets a glimpse. That was a 4K from XNS, by the way. Even in the midst of all that chaos, he's the only one really getting too many kills. TeamOne, maybe they have a bit of comfort now. They're on the advantageous side. They will get the scoreline tie-up unless something goes wrong in this next round.
Dude, the spirits are high from TeamOne. I like this. All of the players look just fine right now. It feels like they're having a good time. It just shows that when you come into such games, having a good mental attitude can sort of bring you back. They're excited to play this game. And I think with this round, it puts them right back on the radar, doesn't it? Because a 9-6 scoreline is quickly diminished by a pistol round win, doesn't it?
But I mean, come on. If you've got a Deagle in the hands of Fiku, if you've got that Scout in the hands of Snatchy, you can't feel too comfortable just yet. TeamOne, they're 3-2 setup. They are dead set on making sure that Banana will be under their control at all times. With Pasadella having moved up so close. Does he get caught off here? Because they wanted to move up close. They were anticipating that somebody would be on logs. A PRT. If he pushes into Boiler, that's a free kill for him. No chance at redemption. Rollin will fall away. Maluk. Now he wants to peek on forward. And suddenly, this has actually become a bit doable for the terrorist side. This flank doesn't make things any easier, and the bomb has also been spotted, so it's a very tricky affair to somehow walk out of this alive, and that is not going to happen. Ago. Go on then, Pavlos.
I mean, I was going to wait for you to end that sentence, but I was going to say that, you know, TeamOne don't like that. It could have gone south very quickly, as you did mention. Snatcher was on that scout, you have Fika on the Deagle. Anything could really happen. But
is this the first technical pause we've seen today?
I think it has, and it's a blessing, really, because sometimes technical pauses come out of nowhere. But I guess a technical pause will also give us a chance to talk about our sponsor, Trustly, because Trustly is basically the place to be when it comes to online payments, because there's no cards that you need to use, no app download, no registration. You can swiftly and quickly transfer your money from account to account. You can also use it at pinnacle.com/odds, where you find all the latest in-play offerings for the Argo side versus TeamOne. But also do remember, when it comes to sports and betting within them, it means that it should be a fun endeavor. It should never mean that it's going to be a risky affair for you guys. So make sure you take care on what you bet and only bet what you can afford. And when the fun stops, do stop as well. There are some technical issues going on. As you can see, they are unknown currently. We'll try and get you the information as soon as we do have it at hand. But for us, seeing that there's a resurgence in rounds coming in from TeamOne, what is the possibility for them to start bringing things back in their favor? Because the equalizer is obviously at hand, but can they take it further when it comes to the buy rounds?
It'll all come down to having a few flawless rounds to begin with. It's not a privilege that I think Ago will afford them, but if TeamOne can start building a bit of bank, then they eliminate the CT side disadvantage of being unable to be in control of your economy. For the most part, the advantage that Ago can have in this instance is, of course, being able to thwart the economy. So if that's a variable that's been removed, if TeamOne, they can suddenly shift the tide in their favor by having a couple of flawless rounds, then in that case, it works out for them because they are on the advantageous side. Inferno is anybody's game. In fact, this is their own map pick, so I would expect Inferno to work out a little bit better in their favor. But the problem, of course, all circles back to the fact that Inferno, being the tried and tested map that it is, it's not like Ago are going to be unfamiliar on it. I mean, absolutely not. We saw how their CT side was. It looked incredibly dominant, save for a few extra rounds that TeamOne were able to chain together off of that pistol. In fact, I feel like if the pistol didn't go TeamOne's way, they wouldn't have had much of a chance at a comeback.
It seems to do have the reason of the technical issue. It seems to be some PCR testing going on over at their hotel, which where the TeamOne side is currently staying at. And this is bringing me deja vu, man. Not deja vu, more as in it reminds me of what happened when the pandemic first started and I had to sort of get back to Cyprus. I stayed in a hotel because there was like a mandatory quarantine. Yeah, you can see the PCR testing is going ahead right at the door there, as everyone is being tested if they're negative or not to COVID-19. But yeah, I remember like I had to take an exam at a hotel, and they were telling me, "Yo," they kept on calling me from the reception in the hotel saying, "Oh, you have to come downstairs and take your PCR test." I was like, "I'm having an exam. I also let you know early in the morning," and they just wouldn't stop calling me. And at some point, I got mad and said, "Look, I'm having an exam. If I move, I've got like a it's a proctorio exam as well. So I really need to stay here, or else I'm going to fail the exam." And they said, "We don't care. We need to get you tested." And I'm like, "Come here like you did yesterday. Come to the room like they did with TeamOne right now. Come to the room and test them on the place, and don't get me to go downstairs and stuff." And they were like, "Yeah, okay," but they had to call me like 10 times during the exam, so it was a painful experience. But yeah, as the testing does come underway, and their nostrils are being pretty much having a stick thrown into them as they get the testing underway. We should get done. You can see all the players being seated shortly, so we'll be getting into the game as soon as possible.
Oh man, it's actually kind of strange to see. You know, like, never would you think that we would have a, like, if you look at it from the perspective of someone in 2019, like, you know, around December, where it wasn't a widespread thing, of course, because it was solidified on the last day of 2019. To think that in 2021 you would have a technical pause because people are suddenly being tested for a virus, it's a strange world we live in.
Yeah,
we do
man.
seem to be getting right back into it. Those are some... what was that timer takedown? I think... Okay. There we go.
Well, we're back into it though. Everyone has been tested. Hopefully everyone is negative.
That was really quick, by the way.
Yeah, that is fairly quick. But, you know, it's just a no swap, right? So it shouldn't really take too long as they push through. Malbs does look to go for the push smoke out as well. Now what does TeamOne do, right? They know that they've brought Argo to a really tough spot when it comes to the economy. And for that reason, you sort of have them not really buying up completely. You see them, Malbs, for example, he's buying up to that 2k mark, only using an MP9. But Argo's Deagles, especially knowing that they're not up against rifles, still mean they've got a potential to do a lot of damage this round.
Let's see if Argo can turn the tide around early on. It doesn't seem like PRT wants that to be the case because Lemon and Snatchy, they've been picked up through the smoke. Not even seeing his opponents as he tears them apart. Just 3 members remaining on the terrorist side. Those PCR tests suddenly have powered up the ability of PRT to sniff the opponents out. And man, this is the win condition I was talking about. To have flawless rounds, not allow the T side to batter your economy. You can already see the money being built up, and this is where they get a bonus round.
You can see clearly in the odds of the Pinnacle Cup that Argo is still favoured, even though the equaliser has come through from TeamOne. It does mean that they're still on that map deficit, isn't it? So this is the buy round we've all been waiting for. UMP still in the hands of PRT. MP9 still in the hands of Mars, but they've been able to accumulate quite a lot of money, so even if they do lose this round, there's a buy to come up from them again. But Argo, they're looking to completely change the tide of this, and they're going to do that quickly. Full and simple, straight down form, and they may gain access to the B side. PRT is the final member onto the side of the map, but TeamOne, how do they work on from this? They do try and go for that mid control, get that AWP down on the site, but the pace of Argo is completely changed up. They're going towards the A side, but it might be the wrong read. XNS pushes through, a headshot being connected from them, but they're going towards Arch. They completely bamboozled them, but in the process of their rotations, they lose 2 players, and that might be their downfall.
PRT, I don't think he has any idea that they're coming in from CT, although there was a fair bit of sound being given up by Snatchy. That's what's going to cost them. PRT is ready for that duel. And the repositions are also coming in on the A site. The bomb should comfortably go down for Argo, but oh no, that's a Molotov being secured. That'll make it that much harder to get it down. Snatchy now in a 1v3. He's the man you want in clutches, and he's got a smoke to work with as well. Wants to carve himself out an unorthodox angle. But he's playing from second oranges.
If you want anyone in a clutch position, it's Snatchy, isn't it?
But with an AK, that doesn't favor him too much, does it? It's generally the highlight player when it comes to an AWP, but
he could be a menace when it comes to any weapon, in my opinion. Flash coming through, peeking out.
Oh no!
They didn't line up! Oh dear, that could have gone south so quickly, but the spray down wasn't quite. There's a kit though, and it might be on time. Barely though. Ooh. Just in time. The bomb goes green, but it's not good enough. Double digits on the board for the Brazilian side.
That was missed by maybe a few milliseconds at best. That got incredibly close. Snatchy, we doubted him for a second with the AK-47, but he had all the makings of a clutch there. Missed it by a very small margin. TeamOne, they are thanking their lucky stars at the moment that green doesn't necessarily mean boom.
Ooh, Maluk, I think he missed out on opportunity there. Ooh, Fika spots out a couple of players and he's fancying a kill or two. Pasadello. Oh no, Malbs. You know, was a little bit over eager to get those swings out, but no. It's a trade to come out from Pasadello. Doubles it up in through the flames, nearly with a third, but no. Fallen is there to deliver. Flash out, swing coming out, but Maluk not going to miss out on that endeavor. 2 versus 3, and TeamOne have the upper hand.
Maluk has just sweetened the deal so much further for the CT side. Lemon and Rollin. 2v3. Can they still put Ago back on the map? Flashbang to make sure that there's a bit more mobility being afforded. Rollin instead wants to take the duel in library. PRT, did he spot Rollin as he was coming out? That's the question. The barrel now spotted the duel being exchanged. And Lemon, he's isolated the pit player. That makes things a lot easier.
Does nades potential damage onto Rallin? Is it going to be good enough? No. PRT with the M4 now. Waiting for his teammate to arrive as well. AWP is being... what is the weapon that Maluk has at hand. Jumps up onto the box, maybe to peek over the smoke, but as it dissipates, you have the upper hand, you have the upper ground, and he delivers on both ends as well. TeamOne, although Argo have taken the site, although it was a 2v2 for them, it seems like the South American side has been rejuvenated. They're looking strong. 11-9 now, and they're the ones with the 2-round lead.
They're so good with these comebacks on the retakes. PRT, he's been a lights out performer for them in the series, saving them time and time again. Same for XNS. And Maluk getting a few kills here and there with the AWP, that's been all the openings that they've needed. Got the makings of a team that can take it to map number 3. Let's just see if that dream comes to fruition. They've shut down the economy of the Ago side. Their wallets, as soon as they're open, flies will be had. But Ago, they want to creep up second mid. Most of their attention on brackets, but the Flames will be keeping them back for just a little bit longer. Only 2 men on the TeamOne side. That means that the read is incorrect from TeamOne. They've got too much of a commitment on the B-bomb site, and that might be exactly what the doctor ordered as far as Ago's concerned.
Smokes out library and Arch as well. Fiku, that was a clean swing. 1 tap, 1 kill. XNS, though, hasn't shown his card just yet, and he might be able to find a couple of kills. 1 found, Smoke to give him some space to work with. Hide within the shadows to stay alive long enough. Molly won't be able to do too much damage. Snatchy stays around in Cubby, and he's able to find the shot. Malik peeks through and is able to capitalize on it as well. 3 on 3, but the gap is closing. Pasadello able to stand his ground, but still 2 players left on the site. Behind the boxes, trying to hide away, but they're slowly closing in on them. The entire map is closing in on them. Pasadello puts that M4 to the test, but Fiku makes his presence known. Drops down to keep his head onto really cover, but Maluk is there. AWP at hand as well, puts a bullet straight through the box, but he's able to succeed in finding the headshot. And that means that TeamOne, they're not giving away at all right now. They're looking really strong, and they're looking to find some more rounds as well.
What a hold from Pasadello. The fact that he's able to survive that long in pit and keep getting kill after kill, it completely changed the tide of the round. They only had 2 players on the A-bomb side, and one didn't even get a chance to get a squeak out of him because he was 1-tapped across long by Fiku. So basically a single-man hold on the A-bomb side. And Ago, you can see why they've elected to take a timeout, because they're starting to feel a bit of the pressure. But in the meantime...
I think we were on the same page here. I think I was going to say something about Pinnacle, because if you guys saw the odds right now, they're slowly starting to go in favor of TeamOne, although Argo is the clear favorite. But you can also go and bet on those odds going to pinnacle.com/odds. But at the same time, there's an offer that you may take advantage of. They do have an offer where you can bet €10 on Esports. You can get €10 in return. So it's basically free money. You must be a new customer, though, and sign up with the code CUP21, so go ahead and do just that and take advantage of the offer that Pinnacle has at hand. But remember, you need to be safe when it comes to betting and only bet what you can afford. Fiku, in a close endeavor, still kills going to the side of Argo. They must not mess this up, because it's been a while since they've been able to grab around. Snatchy through the smoke as well. It's as if he has x-ray vision. Pasadello, though, looks to aggress on forwards. Looks to be there to deliver on to Fiku, but doesn't quite anticipate a 2-man stand-up, which means the B site now is the one that Argo has their eyes set upon. The PRT is looking for some extra damage, but nonetheless, it looks like Argo is the one to run away with a victory here.
The timeout is exactly the ingredient that was missing from their recipe. Now, this is starting to get tasty for Argo. They might have stepped into a bit of a comfort zone here, because they've got money, they've got a loss bonus, and they'll be able to afford in the next round regardless of how it goes. And on the other hand, because TeamOne had some shaky rounds in the last couple of rounds, it means that Maluk and XNS are the only ones that get away with decent weaponry. The run boost will be caught out. Snatchy is not having any of this.
Absolutely not. You're talking about recipes and ingredients. I think Argo have found exactly what they need. Although it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder what recipe would you be cooking up if it was a map, right? Would it be a pie? Would it be a pizza? Would it be a pasta sauce? PRT pushes through. He says, "Shut up, X. Let me show you that this round is not over. Let me put my team back in it because the numbers are now square." He's looking for the rifle, but Fallen anticipated it. He sprayed through the smoke and he found the extra kill. Argo, they're not done yet.
TeamOne, they want to reclaim this. XNS and PRT. A kill from either side does mean that still within the realms of possibility for TeamOne. Just one member on the B side as the bomb is making its way there. 45 seconds, so the pressure to get onto a site early on is starting to be built up. Mobs, you're the only man remaining. How is this going to pan out? The Deagle in his hands. He has to find the headshots. Gets an opportunity. He's stuck behind the pillar. Has to move out because of the Molotov. PRT and XNS. Now, they don't even get a fighting chance because the smoke, it's spitting bullets at them. PRT all the way on the other side of the map. It is peace and calm and serenity for him as he looks to just salvage this AK-47.
It could have gone wrong there for Argo, couldn't it? Considering they lost a few players at the start, but the fact that they rotated towards the B site, knowing that they spotted already 2 players on the other side of the map, just made their approach a lot more manageable. So it's definitely still in the game, and they'll be closing up the gap, and it's really anyone's game at this point, right? No one's really running away with it, although it feels like whenever Argo take a round, it's much more dominant than when TeamOne close out a game, because it usually comes down to 2 versus 2 endeavors or clutches and stuff like that when it comes to TeamOne. So I'm just wondering, what's the longevity of that sort of approach when it comes to it? Because Argo, they seem comfortable right now.
The comfort may have been brought back, and that is obviously one of the cornerstones of playing the terrorist side. The ease with which you can come back as soon as you get a few good punches in. So in that sense, the punches matter a lot more if you're on the T side. Each can be more impactful. Argo looking to aggress on mid and Banana. A relatively isolated style of play where the players aren't really able to get refrags with the exception of Banana. And now, this is where TeamOne peek out. This is where they have to make a dent. And PRT does, but he's been responded to. Furlan sends him a message, and that's a message of death. AK being recovered, and he even manages to get to safety. That's some nice movement from Pasadello.
It is indeed. Argo looking to push onto the site right now. But the fact that TeamOne have stacked up 2 players onto this banana side is making it difficult, Mobs. Well, hello there. That's not too bad. Argo, they're in a numbers deficit, so still, this is definitely doable from TeamOne.
Yeah, but the problem is that TeamOne, they have players with lackluster weaponry on that A-bomb site. They've only got a couple USBs, so most of their firepower, it's not even like they've got a Deagle on the A side. And yes, the rotations are being called in early on, but how soon can they come in? With 40 seconds on the clock, you know that Argo want to jump the gun as soon as they can. Now moving in, Maluk doesn't get a chance to respond. XNS still hoping that his Zeus will come to life, but that's not the case because nobody's coming in from apartments. A 3v3 retake will ensue, but XNS, ooh, Pasadello, he's come around the corner.
And now they're trying to recuperate onto the side, but no, Pasadella puts a dent into their lineup, and it's all down to Snatchy. Exodus only has a pistol to work with, although he might have time to gain himself a rifle. Drops down to the side, and Snatchy's gone for the full-on rotate, but have they read this? I think they have. Only one player looking at it, and it's only the guy with a pistol, which isn't going to really work out long distance. Puts his crosshair right onto Pasadello and sprays him down. Argo, they found the equalizer, although it shouldn't have been as close as that, considering TeamOne were on a pistol round.
That's a lot of damage from the CT side, but that's the least of Argo's worries right now. They want to put round after round on the board. And look at how they've quickly put themselves in the driving seat, because TeamOne, this could be one of their final gambits in this game. Perhaps one of the 2 gun rounds that they have in store for us. but they do still have this blockade to go past. Taking control of second mid and apartments. That's not something that TeamOne have been proactive in taking, and when they do get it, PRT, he'll be able to refrag 1 for 2. That's a good trade, and TeamOne are happy to take it. Ago backtracking. They want to move a banana now, but the smoke will be impeding their progress. Mobs using a flashbang and a good old jump peek to make sure that he can spot them early on. And the T's, they want to capitalize while he's alone. But
yeah, look at the rotation for
recognize this.
Pasadello, very wild. I mean, he's already onto the B site, so it doesn't even matter if there's only one player. We're talking about recognition, really, onto how TeamOne have set up, but they've polarized their defense, right?
Oh,
And P9,
that's
that
unlucky.
distance, it shouldn't have worked that easily, right? Smoke as well, but it did. Not quite able to get away in time, and Argo's chances are being quickly dwindled down to a very low point this round, at least. TeamOne done a stellar job. Molly being thrown out again from Argo. They're looking to push on through, but it needs to look decisive. Fiku does get him one. Pasadello does recuperate, but no. Fallen as well finds the other. 1v2 bomb to go down. Rotations coming in. TeamOne, they've got to work around the smoke as it has to fade out, but Fallen is all by himself.
He wanted to proactively get the first duel, maybe isolate them, but now he has to deal with a 1v2. A PRT, third kill for him. And he secured the round for TeamOne. That actually got very dicey because Ago, they got the opening kill, and they made it look very convincing. But PRT, being able to step in with only 11 points of health, getting 3, that is massive. And that might have just saved the game for TeamOne.
It might have. It was a 3-0 streak going on from Argo. That quickly got bounced back from. TeamOne not allowing the Polish side to gain ground, not allowing them to claim the lead. They're the ones now ahead. Man, this is a really interesting map, actually. The first one was a very one-sided affair, and I was expecting something similar, but no. TeamOne are bringing it. Well, they're bringing the action. And they're the ones that don't really require it because they're on the CT side. They can just be reactive to whatever Argo brings to the table. But so far, it hasn't been map winning worthy yet.
Just one of these duels could change everything right now. This is a pivotal round if you're looking at it from the shoes of TeamOne. Maluk no longer being allowed to nestle himself into the bottom of shelter. But he still wants to potentially take that duel. PRT nearly loses an ear to that pre-fire. But now Ago are starting to back up on Banana, and this could be the right read because TeamOne, their entire setup has heavily been around gambling with the B bomb site, and maybe Ago have sniffed this out because with the way the bomb is positioned, this is telegraphing how they're thinking about it. 2 kills from the CT side, TeamOne, they may have shut down the A push, but how well can they hold off B?
That's the big question here. Argo on the deficit. Without too much utility, slowly need to make their way onto the site. Spray down through the smoke. Fiku isn't bothered by it. Only loses a toe in that prospect. They're looking to push through the smoke. I like this aggression from TeamOne. They're going to be able to find one, but Fiku is there to deliver. 2 kills to his name, and he might have changed his tide of the game. Rotations coming in. They're all coming in from one side. They need to get themselves on site and quickly. Flash out. Fiku does get for the bomb plot, but Maluk does push through at the same time. Snatchy goes for a peek, but it's not successful. TeamOne 14-12, and Argo at an economical deficit.
I have no idea how they were even able to get 2 kills on that A site. Some hasty peeks by Ago and end up potentially losing them the map. Can Ago still hold on to this by their teeth, by their nails? Because TeamOne, they seem to be running away with it. This is not an outcome that anybody would expect after seeing Ancient, but you know what? That's a condition that we've already discussed in the pregame. We've discussed it within the maps that Ancient would always be a fickle affair. Ooh, that's a nade and a half. That is a bunch of nades.
That's like 300 damage. Ow!
Yeah, give or take. And there's even more to follow through. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would assume that TeamOne want to get a full team grenade wipeout. And they are primed for the MP9. This is an ace that I can smell.
Might not be a single player ace, but it's a team ace nonetheless. Pasadelo and Mobs together chumming in. Maluk wants a piece of that pie in TeamOne. They are now on map points. It looks like they want to take this to map number 3.
How have they done this? TeamOne, their economy looked shattered. Ago had pulled on ahead, but this is where the Brazilians show us where all that prep has gone into. Definitely not Ancient, but at least a lot of work has been put into Inferno. You have to keep in mind that regardless of anything, Ago, they are the big dogs here. TeamOne playing that underdog matchup to take away a staple map like Inferno. That is an impressive feat on its own, but Maluk, he's been punished for spraying through the bullet trails, telegraph his position, and now he's been caught out. Ago, they're looking to make it overtime.
They definitely want that. TeamOne under pressure here, and something that they struggled with as of late is to close out maps, and maybe that could come across again today.
PRT. He has often been the Phantom that appears around smokes and gets kills through, and he does it again! His aggression, though, only catches the weakest player on the server. 4 versus 3 now, the CT side. They're starting to feel a bit of the pressure. TeamOne, they don't want to give this up. Mobs, he salvaged the situation, and Pasadelo has even made it better. The MP9, he is sticking true to the translation of his name. He is a nightmare for the terrorist side, and he will reign supreme. Furlan, think he may have timed out there, and TeamOne, they take away map number 2.
They do indeed. We'll be seeing Mirage straight out, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after a very short break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. You may be wondering, where on earth is Mirage? Where is that third map? Well, we've got some news. We've got some unfortunate news that we have to bear to you guys. So, TeamOne, they have to forfeit their match due to them having a conflicting schedule, and for that reason, they have chopped out of this third and final map, meaning that Argo, by default, get themselves this victory. And Wildady, what are the implications of that in the Swiss stage standings?
Yeah, unfortunately, that also means that TeamOne, this is being their third loss, they also get eliminated from the tournament. They had a chance to stay in this by beating out Ago, but unfortunately, because, as you mentioned, because of conflicting schedules, they have to drop out, and that will be a 2-1 victory for Ago. I do hate to see it end this way, to be honest. Of course, you know, after that incredible Ancient being played out for Ago, for TeamOne to still have the nads to come back in that fashion on a map like Inferno, be the underdogs that put up such a good score. Unfortunately, we have to see it end this way where Ago don't really have to play out Mirage. Instead, they get that victory.
But of course, yeah, it is Argo to get themselves that victory, giving them another chance to remain in this tournament. Currently, I guess their first 2 losses against ENCE and the Young Ninjas will not be their final grace, I guess, in this tournament. We'll have an extra chance, but the teams in this Swiss stage are so stacked, so many of them being so worthy of actually qualifying to the playoffs. So it's all going to be a neck-and-neck endeavor. But as you can see, we have Endpoint and Sinners, ENCE, Skade, and Skade all at the top of the standings with a 2-0 start. But the games we'll be seeing later on today are also fairly interesting, which you might want to head over and see. 100 Pink Gods will be taking on Copenhagen Flames later on, with Double Pony versus Entropic to go up against head-to-head. And for the last matchup of the day, it's Harvu versus Fiend. So I hope you guys enjoyed the series. It's unfortunate it ends the way it did, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, and we'll have to bear with it. But make sure you do stick around. I do believe there's going to be around a 50-minute break until we head into the 100 Pink Gods versus the Copenhagen Flames matchup, so do stick around. Well, Derry, any final words before we go to the break?
Well, I do believe it's going to start a little bit earlier than 50 minutes. It's going to start as scheduled. So, yeah, that should be about it. I did want to really see it play out. I wanted to see the third map being played out. It's a bit unfortunate that we don't get to see it. The odds were in favor of Ago, but at the same time, you know, I'm a big fan of underdog victories. To not see something like that happen, I guess we're just gonna have to let it slide.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us, though, today. So make sure you do stick around. But from us, we will sign out, and we hope you sign in later for the next games.